And I hope that you enjoy your time off because I sure did. It was nice to have some time off. Anyways, we are now back. And I just want to do a quick reminder of what's upcoming this week. So this week you have your midterm due, and you also have your visual argument paper. Um, yeah, you also have like the visual argument paper, your topic approval due this week as well. So I just wanted to remind you all of that. Make sure that you get in the topic approval for your visual argument paper as quickly as possible, because the easier, the faster you get it in, the quicker I am to approve it and you can get started with it. So today we are going to be talking about what visual arguments are. Also, feel free to ask me any questions in regards to your midterm, but today we're going to be talking about what a visual argument is. And on Thursday, we'll have a really, really short class in which we'll be just quickly going over the guidelines of your visual argument paper, what I expect, and I will also kind of like be breaking down a sample of a visual argument and what I'm looking for you all to do while you are writing your paper. So that's what we'll be doing on Thursday. But today we're just going to quickly go over the lecture. Again, don't forget to take your midterm, and don't forget to read chapter 10 on the third edition of the book. So if you have the second edition, make sure that you you email any of your classmates or you message them through Canvas, asking them to let you like see the third edition, the chapter 10 on the third edition. I'm not allowed to post chapter 10 of the third edition on Canvas, just for copyright issues and all of that. But you feel free to ask any of your classmates if you have purchased the second edition like instead of the third. But read chapter 10. Make sure that you get your topic approved and take your midterm by Friday at 11:59 p.m. So those are the three things that you need to do for this week. Today and tomorrow, I will be grading all of quizzes and all your posts from last week. So watch out for that. So really quickly, let's just get started with what visual arguments are. I think that this is definitely one of my favorite sections of the semester because I think visuals surround us all the time, and we often wonder like why we choose to buy certain products or why we choose to stay away from certain products. We often wonder that, and this hopefully will bring us some insight as to why we do that. So let me share the screen so that we can get started with today's lesson. So like I was saying, visual arguments surround us all the time, from the moment that you like are walking down the streets and you see like billboards, or when you open a magazine, or even when you go on Facebook or Instagram, that we're targeted by these ads that we're just like, how are these people reading our minds, right? Like that happens all the time. We often wonder like if Facebook is reading our mind or listening to our conversations, because we get targeted posts for our interests or things that we probably talked about or search or Google or something like that. So why are these things sometimes so compelling? Why do they suck us in? Well, communication scholars have been studying visuals throughout their entire career, and we have studied visuals in the shape of nonverbal language. So nonverbal language is what we refer to as when we use any type of language that's not spoken. So if we use body language, eye contact, gestures, the way that we use space, um, like the pauses that the way that we use space, the way that we move, gestures, eye contact, facial expressions, all of that is considered nonverbal language, right? And communication scholars have studied nonverbal languages. For those of you who are communications majors or want to be communications majors, there are classes devoted to nonverbal language when you are obtaining your bachelor's at a university that solely focus on nonverbal language. And the reason why we do that is because nonverbal language and verbal language together send you the whole message. So when we think about sarcasm, right? Sarcasm is when you say like a sentence or a few words, but you don't really mean what you're saying because your body language tells that you're contradicting it. That's the whole point of sarcasm. Like if I say, oh, what a lovely day, and I roll my eyes, I'm not really saying what a lovely day because my nonverbal language is contradicting it. So scholars look at both words and gestures to kind of communicate, like, kind of communicate and understand the full message, because sometimes we might be saying something in words, but our nonverbal language might be contradicting it. So let me ask you a question, and you can answer through the chat. How can you tell when someone is lying through their nonverbal language?
Sometimes some people notice, for example, stuttering, like their eye focus is elsewhere, fidgeting. Some people believe that pointing out lies also entails in when someone is not saying what they're saying in a straight face. So maybe they're laughing, or they're so serious that they look really tense. So those sometimes are cues for telling that someone is lying, unless if you don't know them for a long time. Those are like some simple cues, like John is saying about eye contact. So yeah, that's a big one, I think.
Thank you, Imelda, for your great answer. Thank you to Garrett and John, who are like answering in the chat as well. So definitely eye contact is a big one. So the avoidance of eye contact is usually attributed to lying, because if you are lying, you do not want to give away that you're lying because of your eye contact. We also tend to look up when we're trying to fabricate or make up stories. So we're not able to make eye contact. So that has to do with that too. Also the fidgeting and any hand gestures that are like distracting or like show nervousness, show that you're lying. Also sometimes in breathing, the way that you're sitting, the way that you're like moving your hands, your face expressions, all of that can tell if you're lying. Some people, when they lie, they tend to, be like laugh too much, and that kind of like is a telltale sign. And it's really interesting to see that, because people have been studying a lot of nonverbal language to tell when somebody is lying in the case of like polygraph tests or like witness statements. One of the reasons why polygraph tests in a lot of states is not admitted as hard evidence is because anybody who's able to control their nonverbal language, their breathing, their heart rate, and all of that stuff is able to cheat a polygraph test. Like if you go on Google right now and you Google how to cheat a polygraph test, like it will tell you to like slow down your heart rate, slow down your breathing, make sure like you're sitting like like in a certain way, make eye contact, and it will pick up the signals like that. So it's really interesting to think about that. So then the next thing that we're going to talk about is, visual images are more compelling than anything. So if you ever heard anybody say that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words, it's because it is. Like, seeing is believing, right? So like somebody might be telling you, I saw this most amazing thing, be very descriptive, etc. But if you see it, it's definitely more compelling. It sticks with you longer, and the image is just like right there in the back of your mind. So images are more compelling. They also tend to create more emotional reactions than words. So if you look at different websites that are asking you to donate money or donate time for certain causes, they usually have pictures of those pictures of the people that you're helping or the conditions that you're helping to contribute to or whatnot. And it's the reason why they have that is because it's compelling. Like when we see something, it plays with our emotions, it gets us to put ourselves in that place, and it just has much more of a bigger meaning than just words. And one of the things that we're going to talk about when it comes to visual arguments is that your visual argument can have accompanying text, or it can not have any. So for example, if you look at an ad for McDonald's, it can have, like a burger, a person eating a burger, and at the very, very bottom, it can say, I'm loving it, which is like McDonald's, trade line, their classic catchphrase, right? Or you could just simply see the McDonald M sign, on a advertisement, and you automatically know that it's McDonald's because we have been ingrained in their minds that the yellow arches are McDonald's, right? So an image can have text or it can appear without text, but an image that doesn't have the text is way more compelling than an image that is accompanied by text. You're probably wondering why. Well, an image that has no text, it has no explanation as to what it is definitely more open to interpretation to the audience. And it's definitely really, really compelling because it's not giving you any direction as to what to think about. It's just saying, look at the image and just feel stuff. If it has a text, it is giving you some direction as at a way of what to see it or what not to see it as. But if it doesn't have any text, it's just open, right? You can interpret it any way you want, feel the way that you like. It's not telling you anything. You just have to kind of like figure it out for yourself. And that's what makes it more compelling. And it's more open to interpretation to the audience. Good so far, right? So one of the things that we have to talk about when it comes to visual arguments is the idea of physical images. So if you think of an advertisement, right, you usually have the ones that I'm going to think about more commonly are perfume ads. So like when you look at a perfume advertisement, right, you see the perfume bottle placed strategically somewhere, and then you have either people or body parts of people or like animals or whatnot specifically placed in different areas of the advertisement, right, with the perfume model. And the reason that it is done in a way like that is because physical images, depending on the way that they're placed, they create this idea of a lifestyle, a look, a type of life, a type of aspiration or dream that you might have. And the way that the product is placed within that, it makes you want to buy the product because you're not simply buying that Chanel perfume that you want. You are buying the experience or the life or the look that that perfume is giving you. So for example, if you look at perfume advertisements for like Dolce & Gabbana and Chanel and Dior, there's usually kind of like there's like a backstory to it. Well, there's like if you're looking at like male perfumes, are usually like a male wearing a suit with the perfume bottle and women hanging off like his arms, right? There's usually like a type of body look style that it's giving you, it's selling you that. Same thing if you look at any car commercial. So if you look at Toyota versus a Mercedes car commercial, the Mercedes, like, usually it's like either like a single man or a single female living the life of luxury, dressed up and all of that. It's telling you that life of luxury, of like the single life, that fun, adventurous lifestyle. As opposed to if you're looking at a Toyota, right, it usually has like some family connotation to it and safety and all of that. It's telling you the idea of having like a safe, perfect American family. So if you see the way that the images are placed, all of that gives you a style, a look that you're aiming at. And that's why certain products are more compelling than others. And again, like an image can, if it has accompanying text, the image is kind of like supporting that text. So for example, if you have a lady eating a burger for the McDonald's advertisement, and at the very bottom you say like, I'm loving it, it's reiterating the idea that burgers at McDonald's are great. You'll love it if you go there. So now that we kind of like talked about what like visuals are, like the importance of them, what is a visual representation? And this is what like kind of goes into what you're going to be doing in your paper. You're going to be looking for a visual. So a visual representation is anything like a photograph, a drawing, painting, videos, film, any other visual media that represents objects, people, actual events that represent something else. So for example, anything that you are able to kind of like get as a visual is an example. It can be great for your visual argument paper. So a meme is a sample of a visual. A YouTube, a YouTube channel, like, or somebody who you are, a blogger that you're examining, that's also a visual. An SNL skit is a visual. A 10-second like a 30-second commercial of Toyota is a visual. A music video is a visual. Even an entire series, a television series, is considered a visual representation. So any of that can be used for your paper. Obviously, if you're analyzing a 30-second ad versus an entire TV show or an entire movie, obviously your paper is going to be written differently in the sense that you cannot analyze, an entire season of a show in a 4-page paper, right? So you're gonna have to like really narrow it down. But you can use any of those for your paper. Any of those visual representations can be used for your visual argument paper. You can even use a painting or some type of art. So that's what visual arguments are, and what a visual representation is. So you can use any of those for your paper. Awesome. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is that the powerful thing about images, kind of like what we were talking about, is that whether they have text or whether they don't have any text, they still are pretty much open to interpretation. Just ones that don't have text are more open than ones that have like any accompanying text. But one of the beautiful thing about visuals is that people can find different meanings from the same visual. So if I am looking at the same perfume advertisement, I might get a different vibe from it or a different image than you do. Even if we're looking at the same perfume with the same text, with the same people in it, same coloring, all of that stuff, we might get different meanings from it. And this is where we're gonna get into an audience member can basically decipher any image the way that makes sense to us, and it's based on our experience, value system, kind of like what we were talking about last week when we were talking about the narrative paradigm, right? Like we find some stories believable and others not so believable depending on just our lifestyle or value or worldview, like the way that we have been raised, what we have been surrounded with, what we have experienced. The same thing happens when you're looking at a visual argument. Like as an audience member, we can kind of like find different meanings within the image. And when it comes to studying visual arguments, we have 3 different readings or 3 different ways that you can look at a visual. And we're going to get into that. So the first way that you can look at a visual is what is called the dominant reading. And when we talk about the dominant reading, is what the majority of the world will get from the advertisement. So again, if I am looking at that cologne advertisement for Dolce Gabbana for men, the way that the advertisers intended for us to look at that commercial was like a man in power who wears his cologne and has the look, the lifestyle, the women, the life, right? That's the dominant reading. That's what the advertisers intended you to look at. That's how they wanted the majority of society to look at. And that's how the majority of people that look at this ad will think of it. That's the dominant reading. We also have an oppositional reading. So for example, if I'm looking at it from like a feminist perspective, right? And I'm looking at this advertisement, I'm going to think, oh, wow, like this is like objectifying women. It's saying that just by wearing this cologne, like it's gonna make me like swoon and like make me love you. That is like so, superficial objectification of women, right? So this would be like somebody who says like, yeah, I can see what they're doing, but what they're really trying to sell, they're trying to say that this perfume will get you women, right? It's like using the whole sex sell situation. So the dominant reading again is what the advertiser wanted you to get out of the advertisement and how the majority of society would look at it. The oppositional reading is what a smaller percentage of people would look at and say, yeah, I know what they're doing, but what they're really saying is this, right? So again, going back to the perfume, dominant reading would say, wow, like if I buy this perfume or cologne, I'm gonna smell so good, get all these women, live the life. Oppositional reading would say, oh wow, they're trying to give you this experience, but what they're truly doing is selling sex to you, right? That's what they're doing. And the negotiated reading can see both sides. So the negotiating reading would say, well, I can see how, advertisers use this because it works. So I can see why they're using this, it's appealing and all of that. But at the same time, I can also see how it is objectification of women. So they can see both sides of the argument. They can see both sides. They can see the dominant reading side of the argument, and they can also see the oppositional reading side of the argument. So the negotiated reading sees both. Does that make sense, or do we have any questions when it comes to this? Cool. So one of the things that you are going to be doing in your paper, and I think you should, for those of you, those of you that really really want to make sense of visual argument, visual tests, the visual test for visual arguments, this is going to be a part of your paper. So one of the questions in your paper, one area of the prompt, it's going to ask you to run the test of visual arguments on your advertisement. So on the meme, on whatever it is that you're choosing, it's going to ask you to run some tests. Now the book has the tests divided up into like big chunks, into 3 tests. And it's really complicated to read through it and to just get the main idea of them. So I have it simplified in a couple of questions here for you. So you're more than welcome to use what I have in this slide and use this as your guide when you are running the visual test for the arguments. So these are some questions that you're going to ask yourselves. First thing, one of the things that this chapter teaches us, or just like in general, every single argument that we see, whether it be an image or whether it be a verbal argument, you have to approach it with skepticism, right? You always have to look at it and say, what is true of this argument and what is being exaggerated, what is being used to manipulate me or to drag me from one side to the other? Just like you would if you were having a debate face to face, a verbal debate, same thing is with an image. You always have to look at it with skepticism and figure out like what's behind it, what's more than what it's being presented in front of you. So here are some of the questions that I want you to check for. Again, the book has the areas for the 3, visual tests, but I have it simplified here for you. So the first thing that I want you to look at is the object, body, event, or figure accurately depicted? So for example, again, I'm going back to the Dolce & Gabbana perfume, and I promise you that I will bring a very compelling image on Thursday for us to break down. But if we're looking at the Dolce & Gabbana ad that I was telling you about with the perfume, with the man, the women, and all that stuff, the first thing that we're going to look at is is the body, object, event, figure accurately depicted? In other words, is this something that could happen in real life? Yeah, there are men who look like that. There are men who have that type of lifestyle. There are men that have all those types of women. So yeah, it could happen, So I guess it could be, it could be considered accurate because it's something that could really happen, right? So that's first test. 2, does it reflect reality? Well, if it's telling us that if we spray that Dolce & Gabbana cologne on us, we're going to get magically a sports car and a bunch of women to find us hot, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't reflect reality because it doesn't really work that way, right? Or you could be a devil's advocate and say, yeah, it does reflect reality because for some people it works. So it just depends the way that you are arguing or you're examining the visual. Next, is the image relevant to the claim being made? So an example of that would be, let's say, there are some commercials that, for example, show you things that have nothing to do with the product. And it's just for shock value or just to get your attention. So an example for me would be kind of when you think about again, with the perfume or makeup commercials and all that stuff, you see people walking down the street, just getting the attention of other people. And they're like, Chanel eau de perfume. It's or if you see the Axe perfume of this guy, going to like, the store, trying to decide between two Axe perfumes. He sprays it on and he automatically has like 1,000 women around them, right? So like, is the image that you see reflecting the product, reflecting what the argument is about? It just depends. Again, so for example, if you think that depending on what you're arguing for, right, it might be relevant to the claim being made, it might not, right? It just depends the way that you're arguing your point. And another question, another last two questions are, does it provoke the right emotional reactions? So when you're looking at the cologne commercial, is it giving you the right emotions that you're supposed to feel? So for example, oh, I'm like, do I feel really excited about like smelling this new cologne? Or do I feel like I really need to buy this new lipstick so that I can get as much attention as Gigi Hadid? Like, is it giving you the appropriate emotional reactions that a lipstick should give you or that a perfume should give you, right? And the last one is, are you being manipulated? A lot of these advertisements manipulate you into buying products or trying things, right? So is it manipulating you in the sense that, is it telling me that if I buy this, cologne, I'm going to be this person? Like, is it really telling me that? Or if I am looking at, commercials like, like payday loans or things like that, is it manipulating me to do that by showing me how easy it is to get that? Or when you're looking at advertisements for medicine, right? It shows you like the results of medicine and all that stuff, and then like in really tiny font or like sped up at the very end, they tell you all the 1,000 side effects that the medicine has. So like, is it telling me the truth, or am I being manipulated? And again, all of these questions that I have here should be applied to your visual argument paper. These are the tests for visual arguments. You should always be running these tests when you are writing your paper. Now, I wanted to give you all an example of what I mean by visual arguments. And it's an example of my real life because I actually got sucked into buying a product from Instagram, okay? So let me get to you on that. So as you see, I was drinking from this water bottle, and it's a ginormous water bottle. So I go to the gym every day, and I noticed that Instagram was putting like really weird like supplements or like healthy fitness situation, right? And one of the things that popped up was this like ginormous water bottle, okay? And it popped up by saying like, oh, like it has 73 ounces of water, all the water that you need to get in a day. It keeps like, the water like cold when you take it to the gym. It's great for working out. Like it shows a bunch of women working out, and it's mostly like it's a women-owned brand. So it shows a bunch of women at the gym carrying like their different bottles, and they have like different cases to cover their bottles, like to match your style, right? And I was like looking at it and I was like, that sounds so cool. Like the bottle will match my style. Purple's my favorite color, so it'll match my style, and I'll know which one is my bottle at the gym, and it'll look cute, and it'll inspire me to work out even harder, right? I got sucked into it and I ended up buying this thing. Now, let me tell you, it just does the same thing as my other water bottles do. But the way that I was looking at that advertisement, it was selling me this idea that my workouts were either going to be greater, that I was going to feel great, look great, was going to match my outfit, match my outlook on life. I went to the gym today with this water bottle, and my workout was just as tough as always. I was tired as always, and I didn't feel like a model wearing this, like the women who were selling the actual bottle. So if I were to be writing this paper, the ad that sold me this bottle would be a perfect visual that I could use for my visual argument. I will be breaking down like the way that those women look at the gym, like not like an ounce of sweat, even though they were like, running on the treadmill. The way that they were wearing like these like really cute like Lululemon's outfits, like they look super fit and fashionable, carrying their different color bottles with their different sleeves, right? So I could use this as my visual and the advertisement for that as my visual. So does that make sense? Like if I were to run the visual argument test on this, were the people in the ad accurately depicted? I mean, not every person who goes to the gym looks like that. Not every person who goes to the gym is wearing like a full face of makeup, right? And has their water bottle match their outfit. So I could say that, not necessarily depicted accurately. Does it reflect reality? Yeah, I guess some people would match their water bottles to their outfit. And I guess some people like really fit when they go to the gym. So I guess it could match reality. Were the women wearing like really fancy outfits, wearing lipstick, relevant to the claim being made? Not really. We didn't really need to see those women in order for them to show the image of the bottles, right? So not really. Did it provoke the appropriate emotions? Well, in this case, I would argue yes, because it got me to buy the product, right? It got me excited to match my water bottle to my gym outfit, and it got me excited to work out. So I could say that it created that what they wanted me to feel, that need to belong, but at the same time be different because I have like a different color water bottle that only represents me, right? Was I being manipulated? Absolutely. I absolutely was manipulated when I was trying to buy that water bottle, because it was like literally the color that popped up was purple, which is my favorite color. So yes, they were manipulating me, because there's like a bunch of other colors, but this one was exactly the one that popped up. So they manipulated me. So if I was writing the paper, that's what I would be doing when I'm looking at this ad and how it affected me and all of that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more that you're going to be writing in your visual argument paper, which we'll talk about on Thursday. And again, on Thursday, we're going to talk about the guidelines really quickly, and then we're going to break down an image following the guidelines of the visual argument paper. Also, after this class is over today, I will be also posting the lectures from last week, in case any of you want to review that before you take the midterm. Don't forget to take the midterm by Friday at 11:59 p.m. And make sure that you get your topic approved for your visual argument paper. If you have any questions, just read the guidance ahead of time. But if you're still confused, shoot me an email. I love to answer your questions and just help you clarify everything. And with that being said, you're free to go, folks. I will see you on Thursday.
I have a question, Professor.
Of course.
Do you have, I couldn't find like a rubric for our midterm assignment.
So
for a guideline.
For the midterm, I posted the study guide, and it's basically just, it's kind of like your quizzes. If you answer the question remotely right, you'll get full credit.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Going back to my question, I meant the visual argument assignment.
The visual argument
yeah.
paper, the rubric should be there.
Okay. Because I know you mentioned that you wanted to go over some of the things that we're going to be needing in our paper on Thursday, right?
Yes. So I'm going to go over it on Thursday, but it should be there.
Okay.
It should be underneath. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it for you right now. But I remember that I did post the rubric up there. But you didn't, I am going to go back and do so. But I should have posted the rubric. It should be in that area of the visual argument guidelines. Let me quickly check for you.
Is it under alternative formats on discussion post number 4, visual argument topic approval? No.
So it is under, so in week 3, we have visual argument guidelines, and underneath it says rubric for visual argumentation paper.
Okay.
Here, let me show you. So share screen. So it's under week 3. So this is week 1, week 2, week 3.
Okay, under
home. You have the special, and then you have visual argument guidelines, and right here you have the.
Oh, got it. I don't know how I missed that. Okay, cool.
It's right there.
Awesome.
And again, if that doesn't make sense to you, that's totally fine. I'll go over it on Thursday, so I'll tell you exactly what I'm looking for in each one of those areas.
Yeah. Okay. And then that paper we submit where? Is there like a slot for that, or?
It's not up there, but it is, that paper is due next week, so like next Friday. So
okay.
It's not due until, oh my God, what date is the following week? It's not due until the 16th.
Okay, along with the video recording.
Yes, it's not due until the 16th.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I was like
sometime later this week.
Okay, so just the topic is due this week.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have your midterm, and I didn't want to go super heavy on y'all.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I sent you an email earlier, so I'll just wait for that. And I think that's all the questions I have.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. So I hope you all are having a great day, and I'll see you all on Thursday. If you have any questions, shoot me an email before that.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
Oh, Professor, I think I realized I may have misread something. On the quizzes, it's due by 11:59. It's not like start it by, right?
No, it's due by.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Sorry.
no problem.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.